babu wani kama da kai, ai babu wani.
Yeah, hello everyone. You're welcome to yet another edition of Africa's Realities. As usual, my name is Mr. Johnson Yakubu Sani, and today I'm out with another video. Today, I just want to talk about the Russian-Ukraine war. Yeah, the Russian-Ukraine war, and I don't know, since ever I have been drawn to Putin, and I've been sympathetic towards Putin, and I'll tell you people why I believe that Putin is not really the villain. He could be the victim. Well, that is my personal belief, and I'll tell you why my conviction is that Putin is the victim and is not the villain. Well, before I go further, I want you to subscribe and turn up the notification bell so that whenever I drop a video, you'll be amongst the first to get to watch. And I want to thank my returning subscribers, because whenever I put my videos out here, you people are always quick to go and watch. So I say thank you. And I also want you to hit the like button so that this video can be spread to all corners of this world. Well, having said all this, without further ado, let's go into the content of today. So today, I'm talking about the Ukraine-Russian war. And the reason why I talk about this war today is because of the botched signing of minerals, whatever, between Zelensky of Ukraine and Trump of the United States, which happened yesterday. And so because of that, I am making this video today. And I'm making this video because I have always been sympathetic to Putin. So my sympathy has always been with Putin. And I'll tell you why my sympathy is with Putin. And this is how it goes. First of all, I want to say there are systems of governments all over the world. Everybody gets to adopt the kind of systems that is good for themselves. So we know the two systems that are parallel to each other, which it is the capitalist system and the socialist system. And I don't know why these two systems are always trying to fight war against themselves, because the capitalist is always at war with the socialist, and the socialist is always at war with the capitalist. Now we know we don't have many countries of the world who are practicing socialist, but the few that we know Russia is like the head of socialism, in the entire globe, and we have China, which has somehow softened their socialism, because now private individuals are owning businesses and companies. So I think China is now practicing mixed economy, but China used to be a socialist country, but now they are somewhat a mixed economy. But we have the one that is so pronounced now is this the North Koreans. Yeah, the North Koreans, they are very socialist. In fact, there is no country that is practicing socialism like the North Koreans now in this age. I know we had the Cuba of that time, and we had the Eastern Germany, and we had some countries that really practice socialism. And like this socialism is like you are inviting war against the West, because as long as you practice socialism, you are an enemy of the West. And I don't know why this socialist system is deemed as being enemy to the West. I don't know. I don't know why they can't do socialism. The West does capitalism, and everybody is happy. And all this war. Remember that during the Cold War of the 80s, and all those things, which are needless. They are very needless. Now, having said this, the socialists, we know socialism came from the theories of Karl Marx, which is trying to bring to dissolve class in society and bring a classless society where all factors of production are being owned by government, and every other person is a worker of government, where private people do not own factors of production. And that is what informs a socialist system of government. And the West is very, very angry and frowning against every form of socialism. But Russia has been in the forefront of pushing socialism to the world right from on time and has always been an enemy to the West. Now, first of all, I want to say something. When at the height of this capitalist and socialist struggle, there was a time that Russia wanted to go and open a military base in one of their socialist countries, which is called in Cuba. Yeah, want to open a military base in Cuba. And America will not have it because there is no way America will allow Russia to come very close to their borders because Cuba is just very close to Miami. Cuba and Miami, they are just some few kilometers away from each other. And America was going to bomb Cuba. America was going to destroy Cuba if Cuba allows Russia to come and open a military base very close to their territory. Now, this is America. You can't bring that nonsense near America. That is, by the way. Now, we all know that before Russia is not like Russia because Russia was USSR, Union of Soviet Socialist Republic. So when it was Union of Soviet Socialist Republic, we had like different people, but we had the Russians, the Ukrainians, and all those countries, and they were one nation at that time. They are one nation, just like America is the United States of America, and Russia was a union of socialist country, and they are like also one country like that. And with time, it came that Russia should break and all other countries that form the USSR should be allowed to have their independence. And and Russia came to an agreement to give independence to this country, but with a clause that none of these countries will bring NATO near Russian border. So it was there. None of these nations will bring NATO near Russian border. Just like America will not have Russia in Cuba, Russia doesn't want NATO near its borders. And it was agreed that there will be no NATO near the borders of Russia. Now, I'm just trying to tell you that somewhat a lot of people think everything is Putin, Putin is evil, Putin is, but people are not looking at what is really happening. Because if people follow history, they will look to see that no, Putin has not done anything that America hasn't done before, and Putin is doing things that are best for the interest of Russia, because Russia, I don't see them becoming capitalists anytime soon, and they don't want the capitalist countries coming to form military base near their territory. Now, that is being said, let me now come back to Ukraine. Ukraine was part of USSR, and Ukraine is even the biggest member of USSR, because all those Arabic countries, they are not like Russia, but Ukraine was like Russia. Even the Western Ukraine are more with like Poland people because they speak the same language with Poland, while the Eastern Ukraine speak the same language with Russia. Now, my own ball of contention is this. From the onset, I think the mistake was made that when Russia was giving independence to Ukraine, it shouldn't have included the Eastern Ukraine of today, the Russian-speaking Ukrainians. The Russian-speaking Ukrainians shouldn't have gone with the Polish-speaking Ukrainians. That was the mistake number one. The Russian-speaking Ukrainians should have remained with Russia. Remember, they were one country, and they are breaking away. So they broke away with people who have cultures and history and everything tied to Russia. And they picked and they broke away with that and to join with people who have culture and historical connection with Poland to form Ukraine. Now, Ukraine was formed with the idea that NATO will never come near Russian borders. And then Ukraine had their political leaders, they had their president. And a time came when a president came from the Russian-speaking Ukrainians. Now, this Russian-speaking Ukrainian became the president of Ukraine. I think it's called Viktor Yanukovych or so. So he was the president of Ukraine. But the Polish-speaking Ukraine are not happy with him because they say he is pro-Russia. Because he will not have it that NATO will even come near Ukraine. Viktor Yanukovych will not even entertain it because he knows that no, their tie with Russia is better for his people who are in eastern Ukraine. So he doesn't want the NATO. Well, because Poland is a member of NATO, so the Polish-speaking Ukrainians want NATO. Now, this culminated into the time where he was impeached. Viktor Yanukovych was impeached as the president of Ukraine. And they brought a Polish-speaking Ukrainian to be president. Now, this is the real problem of Ukraine. Because when that happened, the eastern Ukraine say they are breaking away from Ukraine. And the eastern Ukraine started fighting war against the Polish Ukraine. And there was a civil war in Ukraine between the east and the west. And we all know about this war. One of the what made the war even more pronounced to the world is the shooting down of the plane that was traveling to Australia also. And it was brought down, a passenger plane with many people, and it was shot down by the eastern Ukraine militia who are fighting for secession for eastern Ukraine. Now, let's come to my point. Now, if Putin, like you Americans will call it Putin, we will call it Putin. If Putin says he doesn't want NATO near his borders, why are the West trying so hard to make Ukraine a member of NATO? And this agreement he had with you guys that the Ukraine can never be a member of NATO before they gave independence to Ukraine. So why are you the West bringing NATO into Ukraine and causing this war? Now that having been done, now he wants to have a better buffer between Russia and the West. And the eastern Ukraine wants to be with Russia. And he wants the eastern Ukraine back. Now, a lot of people say he's taking people's land, he's invading a nation. Let's remember that these people were one nation with him. And these people want to go back to him. The eastern Ukraine want to go back to Russia. The Donetsk, Donbass, and all those regions, they want to go back to Russia because they speak the same language with Russia. They don't speak the same language with Poland. They want to go back to Russia. So if they want to go back to Russia, and Russia seems it's a mistake that we let them go to join the Polish Ukraine, let the Russian Ukraine come back to Russia, why are people calling Putin a very wicked person? I think it's logic. If the Crimea and the Donbass and the Donetsk want to be with Russia, can we remember that they had a referendum in eastern Ukraine and they voted to go back to Russia? The eastern Ukraine wants to go back to Russia. It is the Western Ukraine and the entire West, the United States and the England and the France that are fighting Russia for Russian-speaking Ukrainians. So it doesn't make sense. If this man wants to take back what has been his right from beginning, he wants to take back the Russian-speaking Ukrainians, which he deemed it was a mistake for them to have joined the Western Ukrainians, and he wants them back. And the Eastern Ukrainians, they want to get back with Russia. I think the world should give the Eastern Ukraine back to Russia. I don't think this war that people are dying, people are killing, is unnecessary. There's a difference that you've not been one country before, and it's different from you have been one country and you separated, and the dividing lines came out a mistake, and there's need to recreate the borders so that to correct the mistake, so that people with the same culture and the same language and the same kind of people can be together. So why is that not a simple thing to do? But in the entire world, they say Putin is wicked, Putin is this, Putin is this. If Putin says he doesn't want NATO near his borders, then you should give him the buffer of Eastern Ukraine to be part of Russia. Maybe you can have your NATO, at least you still know that NATO is a bit, the Eastern Ukraine has pushed NATO a little further from the main line or the main people of Russia. Now, I don't know, is it the ideology of socialism that is a problem? We all know that socialism does not stop development. I used to think socialism is anti-development because when I see how South Korea is well developed as a capitalist country, and I look at North Korea, they say it's not developed because it's a socialist country. And I say, wow, maybe socialism is anti-development. When I look at Cuba, how all the sanctions of the United States have made Cuba to be riding cars of 1940s. I say maybe socialism is bad. But we can see that socialism isn't bad. When you look at Russia, you look at China. So, I believe that Zelensky should be thinking of stopping this war. And if there is need to give out the Russian-speaking people back to Russia, let it be. Because this is not Russia trying to annex the Eastern people. The Eastern people have already had a referendum that they want to go back to Russia. It is the Western Ukrainians that are fighting the war to make sure that they keep the Eastern Ukraine by all means. So I believe, and the Ukrainians are saying our territory, remember, there was never a territory before, you were one nation. So it is people that divided the lines, and if it's people that divided the lines, this Ukraine didn't evolve as a nation like we all know, like you said, Germany evolved, France evolved, England evolved, Spanish evolved. No, Ukraine didn't evolve like that. It is just a human being recently that created the borders, and the human beings can adjust the borders. Yeah, just recently. They didn't evolve as a nation, as one nation, one people, growing and evolving. No, they didn't evolve like that. They were like Africans. They were joined together, the Russian speaking and the Polish speaking. So they are not people of one culture, are not the same people. The East is different from the West. So the East is more like Russia. So let the East join Russia. And let's not have World War III. So that is why when I see the entire West coming against Putin and demonizing Putin, I say, what? You are the people reneging from the agreement that NATO should not come near, and now you are the people who win Ukraine to join NATO. And you are the people who are not sincere. You, the Western people, you are the unsincere people. And you all know that Russia is not at any time soon going to be a capitalist country. So it's going to be a problem you bring NATO near a socialist country. So that is my submission, and that is why I always say, though I hate war, I hate the sounds of war and gunshots and everything. I hate the fact that they say Russia enter Ukraine. I don't know, but I think Ukraine should just cede eastern region back to Russia, because they were Russians. They are still Russians. They have ties with Russia. They have cultural ties